Alrighty, hello everyone. This is Sarada, or Cece, or Sada, whichever one you want to call me. I basically go by all three. This is my official genital herpes HSV1 story. This took me a while to come to terms to do this video, but I knew I needed to do this video because this is probably happening to so many other people, or has happened to so many other people, and I never thought this would have been me. So I don't even know where to start, but let me give you guys just a background. So basically, I am a daughter of immigrants. My family came from West Africa. Never dated until I was like my senior year of my undergrad in college, and I didn't even lose my virginity until I was in my senior year of high school. And so far I only have 10 body intercourse counts, and I'm only 26. So I never been into boys or sexual stuff. So for this to have happened to me was mind blowing. So basically, let me start off. So as you know, this video is about how I had got genital herpes, HSV1, and I had caught it in July of 2022. So basically, I had downloaded this app called Be Okay. And on Be Okay, I was matching with people. And I'm normally not a really online dating type of person. I normally meet people at the gym or at the club or something like that. But I was like, you know what, let's try it. But I wasn't really that consistent on it. So anyways, fast forward, I meet this person. We're gonna call this person Jay. And this was my gifter, Jay. So basically I meet Jay on there, and Jay is not my type at all. I normally don't really date outside my race. I'm always I staying in my race, but I was I'll give him this Jay a chance. So then I matched with Jay, but then 2 to 3 months went forward, and I had added him on Snapchat, but I never really connected with Jay because I wasn't really attracted to him like that, So finally 3 months went by, and 2 to 3 months went by, and Jay was like, oh, please can I take you on a date and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, I'm not really into this guy, but sure, whatever, I'll let him take me on a date, I get some free food, whatever, So Jay takes me on a date. We walk around the place we went on a date. I'm not trying to give too much detail just in case Jay watches this. But yeah, so basically we go on the beach. After that, Jay and I, he was talking to me, blah, blah, blah. Then after that, Jay and I meet up on July 13th. And I want to be specific on the dates so you guys can understand how this freaking thing occurred. So we meet up July 13th, and I didn't think anything of it. We were just kind of kissing, and then Jay decided to give me oral, right? And everybody gets oral, right? No one thinks of using condoms, dental dams for oral, because you mostly think of just using condom for intercourse or anal, stuff like that, right? So yeah, Jay gives me oral, and this was one of maybe this was some pretty good oral, some soft oral. And so then the next day goes by. July 13th was fine. Then me and Jay met up again on July 20th. So literally a week after July 13th, we meet July 20th. On that same Wednesday. So July 13th was a Wednesday, then the following weekend was a Wednesday. Super odd, right? And so we went to drive-through movies. And on this day too, I started not feeling good, and I didn't really want to go, but I felt bad because we were hearing about snacks and we were already there. So we were there. He ate me out again. And actually, July 13th, we did it up until he gave me head up to the following morning. Because like I said, I wasn't trying to have any intercourse or anything like that. So I only let Jay only gave me oral at all. So then July 20th, that happened again. Gave me head and all that. Then the very next day, July 21st, and this is where my symptoms started coming in. I started to feel tingly, and I started to even feel weird. I even texted him a couple days before, you sure you're good? You have all your testing done? He's like, yeah, I never had any type of issues in my life, blah blah blah. And I was just like, I don't know, because like this was so weird. Like I know my body, so when this happened, I was like, something's wrong. Like, you know, something's different. And I kept like checking down there because I'm really big about like checking and stuff like that. So the very next day, July 21st, I started getting bumps. It looked like kind of like, not like a pimple, kind of like a white blister. And that's why it's really hard to test with herpes, because you don't know like what, if it's like a pimple, if it's that, until you go in and like they swab it or they test you. So immediately I like made an OBGYN appointment, and I got in the next following day, like July 22nd. So July 20th was the second occurrences of Jay giving me oral. 21st, boom, those symptoms came. The 22nd, I was able to get in for an OBGYN appointment. So I went to that appointment, they tested me, they swabbed me, everything like that. So I'm like just waiting at home. I'm like looking about WebMD at symptoms and stuff like this of this, like, you know, what this is. And I was like, could it be herpes? Could it be a cancer sore? Could it just be an irritation? My pH balance thrown off? And Jay was like, yeah, I think it's just your pH. You're like paranoid. This like, what the hell, you know? And so then I got my results back on July 24th. Yeah, July 24th, I got my results back. And yeah, the results were positive. I could not believe it, y'all. So on July 22nd, 24th, yeah, I found out I was positive. So it was like 3 days after like the last oral, right? And I was crying. So from July 24th to the 30th, I had like my first herpes outbreak, and I'm giving a calendar so y'all could see a little bit. And like when I tell you I was shook, I was so shook. And in that time too, when I found out I had genital herpes, I found out like I had HPV too, and I was like, what the hell, did he give me like both of these? But I know where the HPV came from, but we'll save that for another story. But yeah, I was just like, what the hell? How could this happen to me? Like, I'm never this type of girl to go out and do stuff with this guy. All I let this guy was eat my pussy up like twice, and then this happens. Like, what the fuck? And like, this guy looked pretty clean. He didn't have anything on his mouth. Like, literally a pretty attractive guy, although it wasn't really my type. But yeah, and I was just like, I was so upset. I was so suicidal. I felt so dirty. Like, how could this happen? Like, I've never had an STD in my life, and here I come, just got head, like every other person does, like every other guy does, and I have this. So I'm over here like looking at other influencers like Shania Brigham, Shayna Singleton, Amber Pratt, Belize, and these are other people. I'm gonna link their information on the blog that are really good activists for HSV and stuff like that. And so I'm like, oh, finally find this page, Herpes Can Never, but now it's called Hey Cousins. That really advocates for people who've been in this situation, and that was like my outlet for me to like match with other people who like, you know, were in this situation. And so fast forward, like, you know, I'm just like, I just couldn't believe this. So I go and tell Jay like, hey, I found out this happened. Did you have this? He's like, what? I never had this before. So then he goes and gets tested at like Planned Parenthood. He's like, oh, I don't know the results yet. It was inconclusive. I'm like, what do you mean inconclusive? He's like, I have to go back in a week. So I was just like, so nervous. Like, if he could give me this, he could give me other shit. So me and Jay, we go get tested to a clinic somewhere else out of our city, and literally negative. Everything negative. Chlamydia, gonorrhea, HIV, everything was negative for him. Everything was negative for me. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, how he doesn't have any instances, like how could this have happened? And like I was looking at the statistics, like 80% of the population pretty much has herpes. But I mean, August, September, October. This happened like 5 months ago. But still, like, you know, this was a dramatic thing in my life, especially someone who is not like sexually active or sexually like, you know, deprived. So then July leaves on, August comes, and I'm like, okay, you know, I took the medicine. When I had my first week outbreak, I took the medicine, acyclovir. Yeah, it's called acyclovir. We took it for like a week or 3 days or something like that. And it went went away. My symptoms went away. So I was like, okay, I definitely have this thing because like this medicine, you know, made it go away. And like they were saying, like once you get it, you're stuck with it for life, or it stays dormant in your nerve. So I was just like, oh my god, like is this forever gonna be my blood positive, you know? So then I was just like, okay, coming to terms with it. I was like, you know what, this is just gonna be something added on my testimony. But it really came hard because dating, when I decided to like move on and date people, like people were like thought I was gross because of it, and so it really made my dating life a lot harder. Honestly, I'm not even gonna fucking lie. But honestly, like it's not like a bad disease. It's something that a lot of people have. Like if people have cold sores, you have herpes. Cold sores is basically herpes, and so if you like share weed or drinks with people, like you could really easily get this. And so if you have it in your mouth and you're giving a girl head, or if you're giving a guy head, like they could get it. And a lot of times people are asymptomatic, so you won't even know you have it. But luckily, like my body is a really good body, and it reacts to things, like, you know. So like I knew like something was up. Anyways, fast forward, trying to finish this story in like under 20 minutes. Fast forward, August comes, and I'm like, okay, let me go and test again for it. But I was like, you know what, let me wait 2 months, because it happened in July, August, September. Let me wait 2 months and I'm going to get tested again to see like if it's still there and if it's my blood type is, you know. So that same day they tested me for the swab. They tested me for my blood, but my blood was saying negative, but it was still early, right? Because like this thing had just came from the swab. So I felt like I couldn't just go off of that. So then fast forward July, August, September, October, 2.5 months go by. So I'm like, okay, let me go back and test again for this, you know? So then I go back and test on October 6th. I got my result October 7th, and my result said equivalent, which is basically inconclusive. See right there? Inconclusive. And I was just like, what? And it was weird because when Jay got tested, they were saying like, oh, my result is inconclusive. And then later Jay's result was like negative. So I was like, what the hell? And he's like, yeah. And he went back and made sure he tested his past partners, and he was saying his past partners were negative. And I was just like, what the fuck, is this guy lying? Like, you know. But yeah, so I was just so confused. Like, how could I have got positive, but then this guy's saying he's like inconclusive and then negative. So then after those 2 months, the equivalent part came in. I waited again and got tested back again 2 weeks after that, because my doctor was like, well, let's wait 2 weeks again. Maybe it's just saying this, but then it's gonna have to come positive, because once you've got it, you've got it. So I waited another 2 weeks after October 7th. So I went back and got tested on October 27th. So I waited like 20 days. And go back and get tested. And I got the IgG test. It's really important when you're testing for this, they do the IgG test versus the IgM, because IgG can like go back and date if you ever had exposure. So I go back, get tested on October 27th, and my test was negative. So basically I was so confused. I was like, what the hell? Like, I started out positive with this, and then it's telling me that I'm negative. So I'm just so confused. I'm like, did it go away? Does it stay dormant? Like, what the hell? And then my OBGYN was like, yeah, I think you fought the antibodies off, you're fine. At least it wasn't HSV2, because that's worse, or something like that. And HSV2 is basically genital herpes, but it's like more severe. But people can have HSV2 in their mouth too, but the HSV1 that I have is, yeah, it's HSV1, but on my genitals. Like, so yeah, it's very confusing. Herpes is really confusing, honestly. But so yeah, there's HSV1, which is the most common one that like 70% of the population has, that coming from the mouth, and then there's HSV2, but someone can have HSV1 that's generally, that doesn't mean it's HSV2 though. So yeah, I've researched so much about this once all of this happened to me. So basically I was just like, what the hell? Like, so confused. My OBGYN was like, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much, blah, blah, blah. But still, like, you know, this is like my life. Like, this happened to me, and I'm not the person that's like out and about like that. But overall, I've just honestly have moved on with my life. I feel like the first 2-3 months of my diagnosis of it was horrible. I felt so gross of myself. I was just like so unhappy. But the fact that like now my test is like negative, like I'm just like whatever. But I still like I'm a big herpes advocate. I put it on my profile. I try to be open and tell people like this happened to me before, just if they're like, because I don't know like if it's doormat or if it's really gone or what. Because now like I test negative, my blood test negative for it. But it's still good to like tell your partner, you know. But I mean, to each his own. Not everybody can catch it. I don't think from the first. I guess it just depends. I don't know. But yeah, this is basically my story. I feel like just be careful when you're online dating and when you're doing anything sexually. I know our culture is so big on hookup culture, but just please, ladies, like use a dental dam, use protection. I know it doesn't feel like better, but like it can keep you from this happening to you. But yeah, that's basically my genital HSV1 story. I don't know what else I want to add on here. This is already 15 minutes. I don't want this to go longer, but I might do a part 2 if you guys ask me. But yeah. So yeah, that was basically it. But this was a huge highlight of my 2022 because I never thought I would have herpes, had gotten herpes and then HPV. But HPV can regress. Like HPV is pretty common. But yeah, I'll do another video on that, but but yeah, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. I don't know if I'm gonna leave the comments off or on, but we'll see. But yeah, toodles.